Imagine a child who is a student who is not good in school, who's dealing with dyslexia, who have so many things, who is bombarded by themselves and discovering their own self. Okay, and they have to feed a system that really don't accept them.
Your purpose can actually change within the different phases of your life.
Teachers are leaders, but now it takes power for a teacher to understand that she needs to grow in leadership. She needs to develop her mindset into how she can empower more her students, not just for academic purpose.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the RK Leadership Podcast, where we help empower tomorrow's leaders through sharing of knowledge, experience, and inspiring stories. I'm your host, Rob Cameronpour, and my special guest today is Helen Verroux. She's a teen leadership coach, education consultant, and a John Maxwell Certified Coach. Before I hand everything over to Helen, I'd like to say thank you very much for being on my podcast this morning, Helen. I greatly appreciate your time, and I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit more to the audience.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Rob. I am so excited to be here today. And definitely, as you said, I'm a John Maxwell Certified Coach. I am a educational consultant, and I love to really bring something different to the educational system. So I love really to make a difference in schools, especially high schools, because I've been an educator for more than 15 years. I've worked in the Bahamas, I've worked in the UK, and while you are actually on this video, I live in Qatar. So I have seen the educational system, like I would say globally in a way, in different countries, different continents. And now I want to really bring something different. I want to make an impact in the educational system.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm sure you're going to have a lot of great wisdom to share with the folks out there. So, why don't we start off by you sharing a little bit about your story, and if you can share some aspects that you think will resonate with the audience.
Well, I would say that when I was young, I would say in my teenage years, I really never had someone who could see me as a person, who could see my value, who could see that I have a destiny. And I think most of the time in schools, we tend to be in a system where people don't see really who we are. And I wouldn't say it's the majority of people, but like I would say that most teachers, more high school senior leaders, they don't really see that value because obviously they are overwhelmed by so many things. So I was in that system, and I said, you know what, I want to make a difference. So I became a teacher. I wouldn't say by choice, because I think I ended up being a teacher. This is already the first step in my life.
Right.
And then I realized that, of course, I love to empower young people. I love to see that they have something different that the system cannot bring to them. I love every time I see them, I see a beautiful soul. I see so much inspiration in their life that we can do so they can propel their life for the better. So that's the part that I love in my career, is the soul, is like to see that I'm working with people and I can change their life, I can transform their life in my classroom. And after that, I was like, you know what, I need to do something different. I need to start understanding how the system works and what I can do, and understand the concept of leadership. I've never really wanted to be in as a high school senior leader, because I felt that I would be again part of the system, but I wouldn't be doing my mission, the things that I was called to do. So that's why I studied the John Maxwell certification, and I understood what is really leadership. What is the difference between being a manager and a leader, and how I can self-lead my life? Because in schools, I never learned about the power of self-leadership.
Yes.
Never. because we tend to be in that system to actually be part of the academic, to have amazing grades, and then to work for someone. But never, no one ever told me that, okay, you can actually work for someone, but do the things that you are called to do, be fulfilled, love the things that. So now I never had that message in my life, and I realized along the way, okay, I need to really make something, do something different. And that's where I started my company, the Keys for Success. And I started to really empower teenagers, transform their mindset into self-leadership, because in the educational system, we don't have that part. And then I went into coaching, and I really helped along the way. Like all these years, I've helped a lot of teenagers to really
Nice.
grow their mindset and transform their life, because obviously they never had that in their life. And now I want to impact the educational system, to impact more teachers and high school senior leaders, to really impact their community. So this is my story so
Awesome.
far.
Awesome. No, that's a great story, and I think you're doing a great thing. And the institutions is where we really have to start leadership. So good on you for doing that. So I want to ask you a question with respect to, you've gone into this leadership role, and you talked about self-awareness. So when you started getting into the leadership, understanding what leadership is, what did you learn the most about yourself?
I have learned that I have power. I have learned that I have a mission to fulfill.
Mm,
I have learned that I matter. And I think that what is missing in the educational system is people don't realize that they matter where they are. And because we are overwhelmed by things that surround us, we forget to understand that we have been called now for a reason, and we need to find that mission and that reason, that purpose. I'm really keen into talking about the message of purpose, and it's something that has to be talked about in schools, because when we don't know that we have a purpose, we tend to abuse things in our life, because we do things out of ignorance, not out of knowledge. So my heart desire is really to talk about purpose in schools, to make them understand, to make people understand, teachers, our school senior leaders, to be, and students, to be in alignment with where they are in their journey, and that they have been called for something greater than they can see.
okay. So here's $1 million question for you, Helen. Do you believe that at that age in those schools that kids will understand what purpose is, and they'll be able to find what their purpose is at a young age? We have a hard time, at certain ages, but way above them, to really hone in on what our purpose is. Do you actually believe that we can teach our kids to know what their purpose is at that age?
Well, this is the thing. This is a tricky question. I love that. But I want you to understand that where you are right now, I think that most people understand the message of purpose when they were older, because they've been actually accustomed to that message older. If
Right.
you had known when you were younger that you had a purpose, you would have thought differently. I don't think they will know their purpose when they're young. This is not what I'm trying to say, but they will be aware that they have a purpose, and that makes all the difference. Once you you start talking to a child or to anyone that you have a purpose, you have something greater inside of you that you need to fulfill and manifest, there is something that spark in their mindset that is different. They actually view things differently, because now they're like, really, I have a purpose? What
Right.
is this? I've never heard about that before. So they start questioning, they start really growing into that mindset that I have to find this. And this is where the questioning starts, because they are aware of it. And along the way, they will have that in the back of their mind, I need to find my purpose. But what is happening nowadays is that people, they hear the message of purpose much more later, like
Yeah.
when they're in their 30s, in their 40s, and they're like, what? I have a purpose. I need to start working on it. But I wouldn't say it's too late, but I think it is time that we speak about that in schools so people are more fulfilled. Because what happens is that when you don't understand that you have a purpose, you tend to go and do things that was never meant for you, and you get in that mindset of working for someone, doing things that is not really relevant to you as a person, to your self discovery, and end up changing career, end up changing, finding yourself a bit later because you never had someone to talk to you about it. So this is a difference that we are trying to make now.
No, I love that, and I think you nailed it with a few key points, which is self awareness and continuously asking yourself questions, which also brings out a lot of self awareness. And would you say, Helen, that your purpose can actually change within the different phases of your life?
Yes, totally.
Okay,
Totally. And this is what we have to build: intentional kids, intentional people, that whatever they do, they realize that they make an impact where they are. They have a purpose at that moment. And obviously, there is a bigger picture that they have to be open to. But we need to start building and changing our mindset into understanding that we are people of impact and of value.
that's right. Awesome. Okay, so I want to jump right into the meat and potatoes of this conversation,
I
which
love
is
it.
again the we talk about what you're good at and your expertise, which is um, you know empowering the institutions, the teachers, students, etc. So I want to ask you, how important do you think it is to develop our teachers to be leaders?
I think it has a major impact because the concept of leadership is really understanding that you influence. And I believe that once you are in that mindset that you influence the person around you, and you grow into understanding how the concept works, now you are more able to communicate, to connect, and to make a difference all the time intentionally to the people that you're supposed to impact. And teachers are, they, I would say in the system, they are not valued enough. So
Mm,
they feel exhausted, they feel overwhelmed because they have a lot of, they have to perform a lot, and it withdraw from who they are in terms of them bringing the maximum impact that they can in their classroom. So teachers are leaders, but now it takes power for a teacher to understand that she needs to grow in leadership. She needs to develop her mindset into how she can empower more her students, not just for academic purpose, but for I would say life change, life transformation.
okay. So my other question to you is, do you believe that institutions are doing a good job in developing these teachers? If not, what's missing?
Yes, I think the system is will always be the same. Now is what do we do to add value in that system?
Mhm.
And I cannot say that high school senior leaders don't do what they can to help their staff or their community. I think they do what they know at that time. What I'm trying to help them understand is that they need to shift their mindsets and bring something different to really start empowering and inspiring the community. So this is something that is lacking nowadays: inspiration. This
That's
is something that is lacking nowadays: empowerment. This is something that is lacking nowadays: leadership development in schools. This is something that is missing: coaching in schools, because we are all the time focused on performance. We are all the time focused on ticking boxes. We're all the time focused on work overload. We're all the time focused on meeting deadlines. But now, what about the people? What about bringing value to where they are? Because we have to bear in mind that not everybody understand how to develop themselves. And now the high school senior leaders, they have been entrusted for that mission to bring something different in their community and add value to the people that they are supposed to serve. I'm very, um, I would say, I am an advocate for servant leadership, serving the people that you have been entrusted to. And it all starts with being aligned as a head teacher. Are you really supposed to be a head teacher at that time in your life? Or are you here for the wrong reasons? It's all starts with the motives of the hearts. And even me as a teacher, sometimes we are in a position where we don't want to be there. We are there because we want to get the money. We want to be paid for it. And we need to, even if we are in that mindset, we need to be in a system that can really help us to get out of that mindset. And that's what I want to bring, something different where, like, teachers, high school senior leaders realize, yes, it's their everyday life. Yes, you're dealing with so many things, but now we can bring empowerment, we can bring inspiration to your everyday life. So you can actually see that you value and you matter.
Absolutely. I think you nailed a few points definitely in terms of we're so focused on performance and the ticky boxes and all that stuff. And all this stuff translates when you go into the work life and you're working now for an organization. It's very similar. So again, leadership is like you can transform it from one area to another area of your
Mm.
life, which is exactly what you said. Now, Helen, how important is it to teach your kids about leadership?
I think it's important because they will value themselves first. They will value their mission. They will value their vision. And what is happening right now is that a lot of kids, they behave a certain way, or they are overwhelmed, or they have so many things bombarding them. They are hooked on social media because they lack vision. And
Yeah.
part of the process of leadership, it's self leadership, is finding your vision. Because when you know your vision and your mission in life, there are things that you will say no to easily.
Discipline.
So I think this is something that has been taught when they're young. And I believe as well, we underestimate the power of young people. We wait too long when they get older to start implementing things in their life when we're supposed to start with them when they are preteens. That's
Okay.
why I have that my parents academy where I focus on the preteens, because when they are 10 to 12 is a perfect time to creating them the right habits, the right mindset, the right understanding on really realizing that your decisions, you have the power of choice that can really like transform your life. And they will make mistakes. It's okay. But the whole point is all of the time is about awareness. When you talk about something and you bring them information, now they can make a different decision based on the information that they have. What I didn't have when I was young is I never had the information. I
Yeah.
never had the knowledge. So I had to fight for myself to find that truth for me. But now you are here, I am here, we are making an impact, we're bringing something different, and we need more change agents. I am so keen into helping them understand why being a change agent matters if you want to build the future leaders of tomorrow.
100%. I definitely agree with you on that. So, Helen, the other aspect of this, the other side to look at this, and I'll tell you the recent conversation I had with somebody actually last week with a teacher. Um,
Mm.
should the onus of all of this be just on teachers, or are parents responsible to be leaders as well? Now, the reason I asked that question is, I was talking to this teacher last week, and I knew we were going to have this podcast, so that's why I wanted to ask you as well. So she was telling me, look, there's so much pressure already on teachers, and
Mhm.
we're bombarded with these mandates. We get, they don't have the support. We're doing our job to be trying to lead as much as we like, be a leader to the kids as much as we can, but there's just so much of the other stuff that we don't get to do what should really be done. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. And she was telling me that the parents are not doing a good job at home.
Yes.
Some parents.
Yes, some parents, and this is it. I totally agree with you, and this is why I believe it's important that we develop parent leadership as well. And that's it's really tricky because parents don't like to be told what to do with their kids. So this is what we have. But I think that the way you actually rephrase things and you really make them understand that we don't tell you what to do, but we want you to grow in your leadership so
Mhm.
you could actually become the person that your child needs. And it comes with the responsibility of the parent understanding the child that they have been entrusted with. And if you can only know that if you are in that mindset of leadership is really changing yourself, changing your life. I did a lot of masterclass on that where I talk to parents about becoming an inspiration for their kids.
Yes.
And that's what is missing. Their kids will always love you because they love their parents, but now are they inspired to pursue purpose? That's something different. We need to build now a generation focused on purpose, focused on being intentional. And it starts with you, with me, with parents, with teachers, with high school senior leaders, and not doing one. If we want to change, to no, I wouldn't say change, but add value to the system, we need to work together. And I think what happened is that everybody's working on their own terms and doing their own thing by themselves. But we need to bring unity. Unity creates power. And that's why I'm so keen on really working with the high school senior leaders, because the high school senior leaders have all of them together, the teachers, the parents, and the high school senior leaders. So that's how I'm focused on the educational system and really working with I would say, I wouldn't say the top, but the one that are in charge in leadership. Yes.
Awesome.
Because they, yes.
I think again, you're on the right track. I think you're doing the right thing. I love what you're doing, and hopefully more people come on board to create these communities where we can go out together and empower tomorrow's leaders, as I said at the beginning of the podcast.
Yes.
So, Helen, I want you to talk to us about your leadership workshops and what are you creating through those?
Oh, great. So actually, I have a free workshop that I created for high school senior leaders, for teachers, for parents of preteens and teens, called Ignite High School, and really is really to help really ignite a community from overwhelmed to 360 empowered community,
Mhm.
because we need to work with all those three components together to make a difference. So I have created this free workshop. They can even join my community called Ignite High School. And in that workshop, I give them a method that really is going to change and transform 360 their community, for growth, for impact, empowerment, and for meaningful connection.
Awesome, great, and I think that's going to be very beneficial to the folks out there, and I'll highly recommend that they stop by and they go through your workshops, and I'll pass it along on my social media as well once they get created.
Thank you so much, Rob. I really appreciate it.
No problem. So, Helen, one of the things we talk about with leaders in a work organization setting is creating safe environments for their employees. Now,
Mm.
I want to look at this and translate this into teachers creating safe environments, physically, mentally, emotionally, for students. Now, how
Mhm.
important is that for teachers to create this environment, and how do they go about doing it?
Well, I think this is already done. As teachers, they already been trained to do this in the classroom. It's really it's done already in schools. What I think it is not done is how to inspire the teachers to continue the job of doing what they're doing. It's done already, but now the teachers are overwhelmed. And the teachers know how to, they know how to really, they have been entrusted to do this job for a long time, so they know how to create a safe environment. They know how to deliver their work, their job. They know how to really build the students around them. But now there is nothing really to help them to continue the journey and to value them. That's what is missing. And this is why we have so many teachers retention, the lack of teacher retention, because they're not staying in the community. And if we want the vision to be fulfilled, if we want a long something that lasts, we need people who are in the same position, who stays there for a long time. Because it's not, when you have people moving in and changing career, changing jobs, who are not staying in the community, it creates disruption in the mind of the students, the
Yeah,
teachers, the community, and nothing is really being built. So you have to restart everything again. So now what do we do to create long lasting retention, teachers retention? And so people, and that's the power of leadership, people follow the heart of the leader, follow the leader, rather than just ticking boxes or just performing in schools. We need to get in that level where people do things because they want to, not because they are forced to. And that was the makes a difference in leadership.
that's right. I think you nailed it with the retention piece, and we're seeing that in work organizations as well. That it's hard to retain people, and again, it goes down to that support, the coaching, everything comes down to all of these aspects, which are from higher down low. So that
Yes.
leadership at the top is not happening, and that's
Yes.
it's important. Um, I want to ask the same question now. I want to step back actually. So you say this is happening. Um, my issue is that I know there's training that goes out all the time to teachers with respect to creating safe environments, but we're still having a lot of issues with bullying at school. Uh,
Hmm. I know that.
like the mental impact on these kids. Why is that part still there?
Well, you need, and I like that question. Okay. Bullying is something that is really, I wouldn't say powerful, but it's something that is in schools, and it doesn't change because it comes with not educating leadership, the power of leadership.
Mhm.
Because when a child understands that he is a leader and whatever he does has an impact on another person, he will think differently. Or if the system doesn't work together, when we help the parents to grow in their leadership, so when the child goes home and is being supported by the parent leader, all of that work together, and it creates a better holistic environment. So what is happening with the problem of bullying, I think the first thing is that we don't train parents, we don't train students about the power of leadership. We don't train, and we don't really help those students to grow into self-confidence,
Yes.
help them grow into self-esteem, help them grow into valuing themselves. Because what is happening is, when you are facing someone with a bully, is because the person in front of them don't value themselves. They are suffering already from something that is way back in their life. They suffer from trauma, trauma from home, trauma from what they experience. So the bully continues what he's doing because the child doesn't understand his value. The child doesn't understand that he matters, because obviously he started again from the home. So it's a system. But
Yeah.
if we tackle the parents, we tackle the teachers, we tackle the high school senior leaders, and we develop a culture of leadership, I am telling you, it will transform. It will change, because we tackle the person. We don't tackle the performance. We don't tackle the work overloads. We tackle the person, and I think this is what has to be brought in high school right now. Well, in school in general, but for me, it's high schools. Is really the power of empowerment, of
That's
inspiration, of leadership, because this is what will make the difference in schools.
100%. And I think it stems back, and personally, I don't think you can hold just teachers or the institutions responsible for this. I think it starts at home. So as parents, we're just as responsible to teach our kids and be that leader for our kids, and the communities for this to kind of take shape or take form, to get rid of these bullying. Because you're right, it stems from an internal issue that, um, they reflect onto other people,
Mm.
right? And as they keep going through the system, as they grow up, it just stays and it just gets worse in some cases. So
Yes, and can I add something as
yeah,
well?
absolutely.
I think in schools now we need to develop a culture as well of mental health. Like, I don't know, I've always seen something where we should bring in school more therapists, more school
Mm,
counselors, more people who actually work with the students, or the teachers or the high school seniors work from within, like helping to get out of your trauma, like things like that. And what we tend to do in schools, we focus on the academics, but the academics is not going to work if we don't tackle the heart, if we
yeah,
don't tackle the issues within. And I think that has to be the focus and the change now in high school communities, is to develop a department where well-being is really strong, very powerful. So when you have people who come from different backgrounds who are dealing with things, you can partner with therapists. There are lots of them in the world, where like in every area, when they can go in schools and they can bring more in that area of people's life.
that's right. No, I 100% agree with that, and that needs to happen even in work organizations, let alone
Yes.
schools, right? Because
Hmm.
there's a lot of people that are dealing with the trauma, the suffering, the
Yes.
suffering in silence.
Yes.
It's massive. So
Hmm.
I think that's a great point you make there, Helen. Um,
Mm.
I wanna pick your brain, and I want to get your thoughts on um, report cards and
Okay.
performance, like we talked about. At an early age, how important are report cards, and why are we still just dwelling on the kids' negative, like negative marks, versus encouraging them to build on the positives? I think we emphasize way too much on the lower marks than we do on the the development piece, what needs to be done. I don't know. I've got my own kind of I've got my own like idea on this, but I wanted to get your feedback in terms of what you think of this topic.
Yes. Report cards is part of the system. I don't know if this will ever go away. It is part of the system, but now what is happening is that we tend to focus more on the negative than the positive, and
Mhm.
it's true. But again, if we tackle the concept of leadership, like how to empower, how to inspire, how to make a difference, and how to view people have as having a unique destiny.
Mhm.
I think it'll change the mindset of people, and really not focusing on only academics. I don't think academics is not good. I think you have to do your best,
For
okay,
sure.
in your subject, in having grades, good grades. However, I don't think it should be the only thing we should focus on. I think we should focus on the person as well, the students, which means their personality,
Yes.
which means their gifts, which means who they are, and really encourage them into growing into self-discovery. I am really, I would say, again, an advocate on helping parents to really focus on their children, because there are children who will never fit the system. They won't, because this is one of the things I talk about as well. They have been called to be entrepreneurs. But now, when you are an entrepreneur, imagine a child who is a student, who is not good in school, who's dealing with dyslexia, who have so many things, who is bombarded by themselves and discovering their own self. Okay, and they have to feed a system that really don't accept them.
Yes.
How do you feel as a person? How would they feel as students? They would feel overwhelmed, they would feel inadequate. And as a parent, when they grow in their parent leadership, this is a time where they can really saying, you know what, I'm dealing with a student, a child that is different. How I can help them to really, how can I change them, change their mindset so they can find themselves, so they
That's
can be in tune with who they are. And I think this is what is missing in the educational system, is again boxes and not focusing on the person. and and this is something that we need to add extra, as I was saying, developing leaders, again, as I was saying, creating meaningful connection, coaching, all this stuff has something to be added up extra in the system to help the students to grow even higher and to really be change agents in their community because you understand them. So there is a lot to do. I do my part. I cannot do everything. I think everybody has to really find their mission in life as well, find their purpose, find their calling, because this is when you create a culture like that, it becomes natural. And students, they understand that they matter. When a child understands that they matter and they have something to offer, I'm telling you, they will do anything for the person that really inspired them. We are not dealing with students who are always misbehaving or always bullies. I think it's deeper than that. I think it comes from the heart issue, and it all comes with leaders, high school senior leaders, to really understand their part in that. But I would say, I would add to what I was saying, that what is happening is now we have more in the high school community, in the high school senior leaders community, more managers than leaders. And
Yes.
we need to break that cycle. And I really want high school senior leaders to really check their motives, why they are in that position, why they want to do that. And if they're for the people, if they're for their community, then great. Now, what can we do to add value to what they're doing?
Absolutely. And I think, you nailed it with, again, several things. It's not trying to fit in a box. We should be focusing on the individual versus certain marks that they get. For me, my take on it is, and I've grown up in this system, there's more emphasis of kids, and I see this with my own daughter too now, on memorizing versus understanding. And I
Mm.
absolutely hate that because I didn't get the best marks at certain points of my schooling system. But for me, if I didn't understand it, I can memorize stuff, but if I didn't deeply understand it, it wouldn't stick. Right.
Mm.
And you lose it because you don't understand it deeply. So I think that deep understanding of why they're doing what they're doing is something I would focus more on in schools as well. So
And I believe that you're a parent leader. I can see that. So that's why you think like that. You're a problem solver. You're a critical thinker. And that's what we need to start developing more in students. And obviously, let's be real, Rob, the system is not going to change. Okay.
no.
Like what we're talking about right now, it will always be like that, textbook memorization, all of that now. But now what parents can do is that, okay, I know the system is like that. What can I do different? How can I add value to my students, to my children, so they can actually become better and develop the skills? I do a workshop as well to parents about that, develop the skills, and helping them, because it takes a village to raise
Yeah.
a child. Sometimes parents tend to do it by themselves when they are supposed to actually find people who can help them in that journey to bring something extra. And the pride, the ego of parenting is like, I don't need someone. I can do it all by myself. And investing in themselves, I think, is something that is crucial, like valuing yourself to invest in your growth. That's part of the mindset of the parent leader, because they understand that the more they know, the more they understand, the more they can make a difference in their children's life.
Absolutely. No, you nailed it. And I think, yeah, parking that ego is very important because, uh, you know, I've done all this schooling myself. I'll still get a tutor for my daughter because there's certain things, when she sits with me, I can tell she doesn't have that attention span that she sits
Mm.
with like someone else that's a stranger. So I'm okay with that, right? For me, I choose what's best for my child, not
And how about coaching? Are you coaching your daughter?
yes,
Not only in academic, but like the
life.
coaching part,
I
life
coach their life.
coaching.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
because yeah, sorry.
yeah, I no, and that's a great point, and this is why I emphasize on parents being leaders, and that's who like I really want to help is I tell my daughter like I I kind of try to help her understand, not to be fearful of things. Don't use negative words. Don't, use negative words. Don't self-criticize yourself. I've
Mm,
brought that awareness to her where she can now become aware. If she says a word, she'll catch herself and she'll change it.
I love
Right?
that.
And
And
so,
but it took time. It took time for you to get there, isn't it, Rob?
yeah, and it's all, Helen. It's from what I learned in life.
Yes.
Right? It's not from a book. It's my journey, my failings, and that's when I coach people. It's based on that,
Yes.
right?
Yes. But
So
I think as well that you're in that position where you can inspire her and you are doing something as well with your the platform, the impact that you are doing. So she's like, oh my goodness, my dad is doing amazing things, and I love how he talked to me and he make me understand that I can change because I see him doing it. You are modeling that to her. It's
yes,
just talking about it. And especially when they're preteens and teens, it's not anymore about telling them what to do. It's about modeling. And I think this is one of the things when we talked about coaching and even for the high school senior leaders is modeling that to the community so there is more change and improvement.
that's right. And I'll share a story, quick story with you before we wrap up. So
Yes.
we had the parent teacher session at school, and it was a very proud moment for me because when I hear her teacher say that, your daughter is a leader in this class,
Wow.
that, like, that put a smile on my face. And not
Mm.
only, leader in terms of the way her character is, but one of the questions I always ask her after school is, on a regular basis, is, who have you helped today? Not how was
Wow.
school, like, what did I ask
You're
her?
gonna make me cry. It's so
Yeah,
beautiful.
but I want to know, who has she helped, and she has
Wow.
specific, like, the example.
Wow. Amazing. This is life changing. Like, wow, this is a different way of doing things, and we have to start changing the narratives wherever we are.
Yeah,
Parent leaders is encouraging as you're doing to your daughters, like helping them to helping her and helping children in general to make a difference, and that's what you're doing. I love it.
yeah. Thank you, because
That's amazing.
I think we're missing kindness in this world today. So it starts with us. And if we
Yes.
want to make that change, we got to start it with ourselves, with our kids, with our communities, with our friends. And if you're not showcasing that, how are people going to learn, and how are people going to, apply it? So you got to lead
Mm,
by example. That's,
mhm. I love
that's what
it.
a leader does, right?
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Thank you. So before I wrap up, we've reached the segment of my rapid fire questions. So
Okay.
I'll be asking you a series of questions, and you give me the first answer that comes to your mind, and we'll take it from there. You ready to
Okay.
go?
Yes, ready.
Awesome. So, what is your advice to school boards with respect to leadership?
Do I say a word or do I say a sentence?
No, you can say
Anything.
sentence, whatever you want.
I would say make a difference and add value to your community to inspire them.
Awesome. What is your advice to teachers?
I would say keep on doing what you're doing and keep on doing what you're doing. You matter. And don't be too harsh on yourself.
Awesome. What is your advice to students?
I would say find yourself, discover who you are, and along the way, you will definitely become who you're called to be.
Excellent. What is your advice to parents?
I would say work on yourself first, model to your kids what you want them to model in their life, and we will make a better place for the future leaders of tomorrow.
Awesome. And last but not least, where can people find Helen?
So they can find me on my Instagram at the Keys for Success. They can join my Facebook community and my LinkedIn community called Ignite High School communities, and they can join my free workshop on really how to ignite high school from an empowered to a 360 inspired community.
Awesome. So I want to thank you very much, Helen, for being with me today. I greatly appreciate you sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, and your experience with the folks out there. And for those who have comments or questions for Helen, you can drop it in the comment box below, and I'll make sure it gets to Helen, or you can reach her directly. But again, Helen, thank you so much for being with me today. I learned a lot from you myself, and I hope we continue this conversation.
Thank you so much, Rob, for being in purpose. I really appreciate you making a difference where you are as well. Thank you.
Pleasure. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye bye, everyone.